Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 7th June 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Haribol TRSV Nectar NECTAR Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of what we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my previous videos. So let us begin our topic of today. According to Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani, the internationally well-known and successful industrialist of India, we all are born in an orbit. It depends on our own willpower how we change that orbit to a different one which is far better than the one in which we were born. What is the meaning of this particular statement? Let us discuss about it if possible in detail. Suppose I was born in this particular birth as a particular person called TSV Raghavan. Now, I as a soul must have known where to be born here, and that too because of my past karma and destiny. In other words, my birth in this particular body depends on the past karmas of my own psyche in previous births. We all know that there are three layers of subtle body which are already existing when I am born in a gross body in this particular birth. Those three subtle bodies decide according to my own memories, karma, and destiny where and in which family I should be born. This is a case with every living entity. Every living entity is born in a particular gross body, especially when he or she is a human being, according to his or her karma and destiny, and this particular birth depends on which family, which community, which society, which race, caste, creed, etc. I am born. I was born there just because of my past vasanas, psych, psychic qualities, karma, and destiny. A person is born based on only these things because as a newborn he or she has not started his or her account of karma in that particular birth. This is also based on the three modes of material nature that have been prescribed or defined by our peers of yore. These three modes of material nature are known as goodness, passion, and ignorance. Every living entity has these three modes of material nature. On an average, at any given time, this particular living entity is comfortable in one of these modes of material nature while the other two are dormant. As Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani said, the possibility of a living entity changing from one mode of material nature into another depends on that particular person's willpower, karma, destiny, circumstances, situations, etc. We would appreciate that this happens to every one of us. However, let me also remind you that every living entity, or almost 90% or 80% of the living entities in a society, are born, brought up, live comfortably, raise their family, and die comfortably in one particular orbit in one lifetime. Suppose you were born in a family of businessmen. That is one orbit. Your father owned a grocery shop. You were born in that family. You lived in that family. You were trained to become a good businessman. You progressed as a good businessman, raised your family in that particular surrounding, lived happily, and left for your heavenly abode when the old age came. This happens to almost 80% of all humanities. All of us, or any of us, do not want to move out of our comfort zone. A worker and his sons, daughters, etc., will live in a worker's atmosphere all his or her life. So is the case with educated people. Yes, one engineer may have a couple of doctors in the family, or a doctor may have a couple of engineers in the family, but they are all professionally qualified because their orbit is professional qualification. These people get educated in that particular surrounding and progress in that particular surrounding. It takes a lot of willpower to change from this. I said that 80% remain in their orbits. Of the 20%, at least 15% have various degrees of dreams and efforts to come out of a particular orbit. They may or may not succeed in various degrees in their efforts to come out of the orbit. Only 5% are successful enough to come out of their comfort zone and enter another orbit. But even among this 5%, it is only 2 or 3% who actually make it big in that particular orbit. Even this is dependent on that particular living entity's destiny and karma. One cannot say that it is just because of his or her sheer willpower. I will quote an example here. There was one guy called Napoleon Bonaparte who was born to a soldier in the Corsican army of rebels in Corsica. 6 months before he was born, his island of Corsica joined the French government and became a French colony. This guy had such a destiny that he not only succeeded as a qualified soldier and general in the French army, but he also rose to become a first consul and then the Emperor of France. This was quite a different change of several orbits. This guy was born in the orbit of a Corsican soldier. The first change came when he became a French soldier. Second came when he became a French general of the army. The third came when he became first consul, and the last one came when he became the French emperor. So many changes of orbit for one commoner, unknown commoner from Corsica. This is what Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani hinted at. Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani himself was born in a village called Chorwad in Gujarat to an humble school teacher. Right from the beginning, the germs of business were there in Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani. He started his career in business by selling sweetmeats and savories at the age of 10. However, he had to work to keep the family domestic fire burning by going to Sweden and becoming a petrol pump attendant. But his destiny willed otherwise. This guy came back to India in the late 50s and began as a petty trader. His first orbit had already changed when, as a child, he had become a trader of sweetmeats. The second orbit came when he went to Eden. The third orbit came into force when he became a trader of yarn. From there, he kept on changing orbit after orbit, despite protests from high-nosed and high-browed individuals of other orbits and the powers of that be in those orbits to prevent this man to go into their orbit. However, he did not brook any opposition, and then he became successful as a trader, a businessman, a distributor, a manufacturer, and a tycoon. So many orbits in one lifetime, so that when he ultimately passed on, he left a business empire for his family and friends. This is what Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani insisted on. He said that we should never be happy with the circumstances which we were born in. There have been several examples of people who have not only changed their orbits in the material life, but who were born in a material world, but they changed into the spiritual world. Orbits can be changed from material to spiritual, from positive to negative, from positive to positive, negative to negative, according to the destiny and karma of those people. We have already discussed about a positively thinking materialistic person in this particular video. We shall discuss about another case history. There was one gentleman called Bill Gates who was born in a highly middle class family in USA. However, he was a genius of sorts who was always thinking of becoming a millionaire. So much so that though he was a college dropout, he told some people that I will become a millionaire by the age of 30. When he reached 30, he was a billionaire, not a millionaire. He is one of the founders of the company called Microsoft. This guy, who was born in the orbit of a high middle class family in America, became so very rich that he is now rolling in wealth. His family, his children, etc., may not even know the humble circumstances in which he was born. Same is the case with most of the people who made it big in this material world as businessmen. Rockefeller, the great Rockefeller, began his career as a laborer for 25 cents a week in an oil mine, but he became such a huge oil magnate that at the age of 90 or so, he went around every day giving pennies to guys who came his way during his walk. Rockefeller Foundation is well known even today. Nobody knows how this man must have slogged to reach this orbit. Yes, it is a fact that it was probably written in his destiny, but we cannot brush off everything to destiny and karma. This man made the best use of his own mental, physical, and willpower faculties of this particular birth to reach such dizzy heights. Same is the case with the Rothschilds. The original Rothschild was born with 27 other members who all lived in a cramped flat in Austria. However, this guy branched out and made a name for himself and his family successfully. Yes, he went only to one particular extent, but he had already charted out a method of changing orbits for his own family. Thanks to his own karma, the people who were born in his family as his sons, daughters, grandsons, granddaughters, etc., were all equally talented and intelligent. So, this family kept changing orbits and is now the, probably the richest anchor family in the world. These are cases where we should take a leaf out of these people's life stories for ourselves. They give us a message, and we should take that message to improve upon our own lives. We should never be satisfied with the orbit in which we were born. There have been several cases where a person was born in a materialistic family but who became a spiritual guide later on. One of the examples is the founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak. Guru Nanak was born in a businessman's family, but right from his childhood he was spiritually inclined. He founded the Sikh religion, and his own two sons popularized this religion all over India, one in Sindh, one in Punjab. His sons were called Mr. Sri Chand and Mr. Lakshmi Chand. These people popularized their father's religion, and today it is a sect which is internationally well known. Same is the case with Gautama Buddha. Gautama Buddha was born in the lap of luxury in the province of Lumbini in Nepal, in the capital city of Kapilvastu. He was a prince who gave up every luxury and came to India to a place called Gaya in Bihar. Before this, he roamed around India and went through several deprivations to reach enlightenment in Gaya and become Gautam Buddha, who is now hailed as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must take a leaf out of the lives of such people for our own benefit and should realize that there is a lot of scope for improvement in our own lives if we take it upon ourselves to change our orbits continuously for the better. The ultimate aim is to seek self realization, get liberated, and ultimately be delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert ideas, opinions, thoughts, and views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.